Okay, this is the second part of a video where Silman analyzes one of his games and explain this thinking technique that we should have when we play our own games. This book is really important if you want to improve in chess. Of course, you must do your tactics, understand the patterns, but at a certain point when you are in a game, how do you play if you don't know how to make a plan? Silman teach you that, teach you how to make a plan. So it's very important, because this kind of thinking technique can be used at every level. In the previous video we stopped here at this position and Silman was saying, should I play this or something else? He was thinking this and this, because he was thinking his plan was to develop on the queen side, right? So here he decided for bishop b7 after evaluating the alternative a5 and bishop a6. Why a5 and bishop a6? Because with this you have this kind of attack. Notice that bishop a6, however, you still have the possibility to take that file and attack on c3, right? So that's the thing that is very important. And then of course a5 and bishop a6 you have this discovery possibility. So it's kind of very interesting. Yet he says black finally decided on bishop b7 because he felt that after rook c8 he would be in a position to play for an eventual break in the center with d6 and d5. So this is his plan, okay? The plan that he has made. And probably this is the plan that he thinks is faster, because he feels that white will go for an attack on this wing, and generally they tell you a counter attack in the center is what you should do in this kind of cases, right? So after bishop b7 white played rook a b1, and here there is a dubious move by Silman that played rook c8. He says rightly the intended move, however he first should have defended his b5 pawn and his bishop b7. How do you do that? What is the move that you should play to defend this and this at the same time? Silman says queen d7, it was the move that he should have played. No? And now white is able to get rid of a weakness on c3. A great shame, since the creation of that weakness was the whole point of black's earlier play. As you can see, honestly, this is the reality, right? That we make all these plans, and especially when I play against a computer, and the computer refutes it all every single time. He refutes it every time you do something. He does something else that you didn't think about it, and so it's terrible. It's terrible. Okay, but after rook c8, again, can you really take on b5? Or something else should be the move? White played c4. Obviously Sadie, that is the white player, was a very good player. He was in the Fischer time, right? I think I heard his name in Fischer time. So c4 was the right move, but rook takes b5 wasn't the good move. Why? Because after rook takes c5 there is bishop a6. And so what does it do, right? Because you understand, you go back and this takes, so that's really worse, because then he has two isolated pawns. So that wasn't the move. Okay, after c4, what should black do instead? Because also in this case you need to think, right? What does he want you to do? You cannot take, right? Or you can. Try to calculate that. What happens if you do this? It's obviously a blunder. Why? Because of this. So this is the defender of the bishop b7, and you take it away, right? So after this, there is oops. And yes, I didn't see this. Okay, I didn't see this. But I think then maybe you can do this. And this is really a big deal. Why? Because take, and here there is checkmate. So I do think it's kind of problematic for black. But as you can see, I didn't see this move, and I should have calculated too. But again, I'm doing a video, so I'm not that fast because I'm also talking. Okay, so he says, at this point, the student should be able to deduce the importance of creating weak, attackable points in the enemy camp. If you happen to possess one of these weaknesses, you should do everything you can to get rid of it. In our present game, by pouncing on black's error and getting rid of his weakness, white throws black on the defensive. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So let's return back to the position. Sorry, I will pause a second. Okay, I think I put it back right. I hope so. So after c4, the correct move is a6. So we don't fall for the b takes c4 trap. C takes b5, a takes b5. And here white played queen d2. Again, you cannot take this because of bishop a6, and then this is a big problem, okay? So queen d2 was the move played by white. Now black must come up with a new plan. Why? Because of the bad move that he played rook c8 instead of defending this with queen d7. Notice, if the book is written in 1993, I don't know how strong were the engines to help Silman to find all of this. Probably this was still all his analysis, not really helped much by engine. Okay, and that's kind of interesting, because in that time they really needed to know what they were doing, while today we just click and the engine tells us the answer, right? Okay. So the new plan, since white pawn weakness is now on a2, black redirects his guns on that point. Very good. What is the gun? The gun is the rook a8. White plays bishop b4, and he says white wants to hold onto his two bishops. He gains nothing after bishop takes c5, which would follow d takes c5, rook takes b5, and bishop a6 again, rook b3, and then there is c4. Okay. And it says, after bishop b4, which was the move played in the game, black has to find a way to activate his bishop. Which bishop? Activate his bishop. Okay, which is this one, right? So, and create new attackable points in white position. Well, the new attackable point is probably this one, right? If black plays passively, white will continue with knight c3 rook f c1, and with pressure on c5 and b5. Yeah. So what did black do in this position? What did he play? He played knight a4. Now, if white's knight comes to c3, black can trade it off. Another benefit of knight a4 is that black is finally in a position to play d5. He finally can play d5 because this doesn't need the support anymore. Right, since the knight would no longer be hanging on c5. Why play d5? The reasoning is this. After d5, if white captures by e takes d5, he would be left with an weak and isolated pawn on d3. If he leaves this pawn on e4, then after black trades pawn by d takes e4, white e4 pawn would be vulnerable to several of the black pieces. Just another example of black striving to create pawn weaknesses in the enemy camp. So what did white play? White played knight c3, knight takes c3, bishop takes c3, and now finally d5. Using tactical means to create the desired target on e4, white cannot play rook takes b5. Why? Why he cannot play rook takes b5? Because there would be bishop a6, he says, and then d takes e4. Notice that this is also here, and then the bishop on a6 is threatening this, so it's a problem. Okay. So interesting how this pawn is not protected, but it is protected, it is untouchable, right? So that's very, very interesting, I think. Okay, so what did he play? He played queen e2, and black continued with another really good move, that was rook a4. Here it says, still walking away at the e4 pawn and preparing to double on the a file and intensify the pressure on the weak a pawn. Yes, because it's practically going to double there. So white continue with queen b2, and of course now there is another great move by black, which increases the pressure on two different things at the same time. The move is queen a8, because is pressuring this and is pressuring this, right? So that's very interesting. Here black played this, white played this, and here it says it became a draw. The white queen wants to guard the e5 bishop, so black would have a perpetual on the queen after queen d4, rook e4, queen c3, rook e3, etc., etc. And here he ends saying the following. This thinking technique is quite effective, but requires a good deal of practice to master. However, if you are lazy or simply don't have much time to put into the study of chess, it might interest you to know that a firm understanding of imbalances alone can provide a sort of fast food method of planning. Just find the imbalances and try to make use of them. The majority of this book is devoted to a detailed study of each imbalance. When you have mastered the subject, you can use just the imbalances to determine what you wish to do, or use the imbalances in relation to the thinking technique that has just been examined. And here it gives a final problem for this chapter. I don't know if you want to see it. Eventually I will put it in the next video. Okay.